Those dirty details. Hello, everybody. I'm Beau, and this is my dirty details. Um, okay, so today I will be reviewing the movie The Wild Bunch. Yeah, belly. Directed by one of my favorite directors, predating Quentin Tarantino. I say predating Quentin Tarantino because in my eyes, Sam Peckinpah was known as, or in my eyes, he was the original Quentin Tarantino, the foundation for Tarantino. Now, I don't think Tarantino's really ever talked about Sam Peckinpah, but in my opinion, um, Tarantino is kind of like follows in the same vein. Um, excuse me as I put a shirt on. Tarantino, he, when I say he's like the predecessor to, Tarantino's, basically the follow-up to Sam Peckinpah, because a couple of things. One is Tarantino is known for his violence and Western themes, as well as Sam Peckinpah. Sam Peckinpah's done a few westerns, at least Western themed. Wild Bunch being my favorite of Peckinpah's movies, and we'll get into that in just a moment here. But I kind of want to give you a little bit of background history on Sam Peckinpah. Okay, so Sam Peckinpah, he as far as my knowledge, I took some classes in film history. I gotta brush up some, get back into the groove of that. But Sam Peckinpah, from when I was reading the textbook from these classes, it was my understanding that he basically is the first director out there ever to portray the bad guys in a movie as also being the good guys. And that's another trademark of Tarantino. Like I said, Tarantino doesn't speak too much on Sam Peckinpah, but in my opinion, I think it's right there in front of us. Some of Tarantino's methods seem blatantly, in my opinion, stemming from Sam Peckinpah's styles. Um, so, and that's always a common theme in Tarantino movies is the bad guys are also portrayed as the good guys. Uh, and also, I think, okay, so Sam Peckinpah, he did The Wild Bunch, of course, which I'll be reviewing here in a second. I think it's called The Ballad of Cable Hogue. I haven't seen that. I want to. I think he did. I want to say it's called The Getaway with Steve McQueen. I saw it a while back. Don't really remember, but apparently it's a classic movie. Steve McQueen is someone I should own a collection of movies of, but I don't have anything except for can't even think of it. Anyway, forget it. He also did, so Sam Peckinpah, he also did the movie, um, drawing a fucking blank here. Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia. That's a good one too, and I will probably review that eventually. Great movie. Another one of his movies that has a good guy who's also a bad guy in it. Sam Peckinpah was so known for his violence in his movies that he was nicknamed Bloody Sam. I think that's badass to be nicknamed that. I did one movie where I nicknamed. I made my own short film once called The Real Foe, and I nicknamed myself Bloody Beau because no one else is gonna nickname me something cool like that. Where I get a horrible nickname, and I'm not going to go into that. But okay, so let's get back on track here. Okay, so The Wild Bunch, directed by Sam Peckinpah, starring William Holden, Ernest Borgnine, who was in William Holden. He was in I think like 10 years earlier, or something like that. He was in the movie Sunset Boulevard, which is also a great classic film noir movie. Ernest Borgnine, he was in The Wild Bunch, or of course Wild Bunch. He was in The Dirty Dozen. Warren Oates, or oh wait, there's Edmund O'Brien. Warren Oates, he was in. What the heck can I think of it? Warren Oates is a great actor too. He was in the movie Stripes. He plays the drill sergeant. But he's been in other things too. He was also in he was the main character in Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia. Warren Oates, I can't think of else what he was in. Okay, so there's also Jamie Sanchez and Ben Johnson. Not sure who a few of these actors are. If I look it up, I'd probably figure it out real quick. Okay, so Wild Bunch. Basically, it starts off interesting shot movie. Much of the title sequences throughout the beginning of the movie is like, and I think it has something to do more. A more in-depth. There's probably a more in-depth idea behind this. Is my thoughts, but I haven't really thought that much into it. But let's see. Okay, so the beginning of the movie starts off with a bunch of ants or kids playing with a scorpion. I'm assuming this was shot in probably in the area that I'm in, probably either here in Arizona, New Mexico, or Texas, or somewhere on the border of Mexico. It's my guess is where this movie was shot. But a bunch of little kids are playing with the scorpion, and they throw it into like some ant hill or something like that, and ants start attacking the scorpion and basically eating up the scorpion. I don't really know what it has to do with anything. It's kind of a creepy sequence, but it's such a long sequence here. It's like a split between that scene and the Wild Bunch, where they're dressed as these military officials who ride into town and are robbing a bank at the same time, simultaneously with this title sequence flashing back and forth. So I think there's some sort of significance there, some sort of symbolic reference there that I'm just not getting. But okay, so one of my favorite films, though. I mean, it's kind of like it's almost like watching a macaroni combat or a war film of this time period. This movie was made in the '60s. Kind of like almost the same idea, and I think there are some war themes in there. Um, but shit, I may not be able to finish this. Um, so they rob this bank, and they're somehow, I don't remember exactly what happens, but along the way they end up having to fight. Sorry, there's some weird machinery in my yard. Um, uh, shit, I wish there was a pause button. So anyway, they have to fight this army, this Mexican army, um, that kills one of them, the Wild Bunch, one of the bank robber gang. So I'm sorry, I'm spacing out because there's some weird machine driving through my fucking yard. And so basically, by the end of this movie, it's like 5 or 6 guys up against this army of Mexican revolutionaries, um, all over them killing their friend um, for no reason, really, over some woman or something like that. Two things that interest me about this movie, especially, is the, they introduce the Model T. I think it's the Model T in this movie, and the Gatling gun. And if you'll notice in a lot of westerns, especially the ones in the '60s, you'll notice there'll be either a Gatling gun or like the Model T should make an appearance. And my opinion on that is it introduces the idea of change. Like, because they were such technological advances, it was supposed to signify that the West was a dying breed. The gunfighter is no longer needed because you got the Gatling gun. You're gonna take out a fucking army with the Gatling gun. No more use for horses because now you got the car that's coming out. It was supposed to be, I think, in my opinion, a, sim- a symbolic reference to the fact that the West was dying. And I think a lot of this movie portrays that, especially the Wild Bunch. Um, some of the main characters in the movie are aging gunfighters, outlaws, um, and I think that in the end, I'm giving this away, but um, everybody dies. The military and these 4 to 6 outlaws, um, they all die, and I think that's part of the symbolic reference there. Sam Peckinpah, in particular, is trying to reference to is that the West is dying, and a new revolution of change was coming. That being technology. Um, so a lot of movies during this time period that were westerns had this kind of theme going for it, and I think The Wild Bunch, in my opinion, pulled it off the best. And there's also some bands nowadays that kind of play that theme to it a little bit too. Um, there's a really good album by a band called Modest Mouse, and the album title is called The Lonesome Crowded West. And I think a lot of the themes for that album was the fact that, and if you look at the cover too of the album, I think it's a background of a city, and it's just called The Lonesome Crowded West. So basically, there is no more West. Everything's dying, and it just is alluding to the fact that things are changing. You can't stop change, and the Wild Bunch, everybody ends up dying. These old gunslingers that were supposed to be supposedly so great at what they did died off. They fought an army with a fucking Gatling gun. There's the introduction of a car. I'm sorry, this video is probably really boring, and I didn't mean to make it go on this long, but there was some weird machine driving through my damn yard, and it was noisy and annoying. But, so it made me lose my train of thought a little bit here. But the point is, the movie The Wild Bunch seriously is one of my favorite westerns and all-time favorite movies ever made. And Sam Peckinpah is just amazing. Like, there is a reason they called him Bloody Sam. In fact, like, I think, I don't know if it was during the making of The Wild Bunch or one of his other westerns. I saw some documentary. It might have been on The Wild Bunch that I saw it, but the the cast and the crew. Okay, so the production company, like, I guess Sam Peckinpah was rumored to have been a drunk or alcoholic or something and drinking on set or something like that. So the production company, whatever production company they were going through, sent some letter saying, or asked, inquiring about this whole drinking on set thing. And so his response was, or Sam Peckinpah's response was, and he got like the whole cast and crew together. They got him out on some stretcher, and he had some IV thing, and it showed him like them attaching like a bottle to the IV, like, and he's laid out on the stretcher. You know, like they were just kind of joking around because I guess he was obviously not drinking, but he was just kind of like, as a fuck you, like, I'm not drinking on the set. I'm making a movie. I'm trying to be professional here. But they were just making a joke and sent a photo back of some girl holding up a bottle of whiskey to an IV or something like that. Something like that. Something really ridiculous. But if you ever get the chance, I suggest seeing it. If you know me, feel free to check it out. I might give you a hard time just because I don't like lending out things to people because usually they end up getting broken. So this has been another segment of Beau's Dirty Details. Beau's Dirty Details.